Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Art of Living Well podcast. It's just Stephanie and I today, and we love these little episodes because it gives us a chance to chat with each other and connect with you guys. And before we kind of dive into what we're going to talk about today, we just want to remind you guys that our Summer Liver Detox is coming up on June 11th to the 17th. It's the 7-day detox that we've been running quarterly. And it's a great way for you to get ready for summer and feel great before the 4th of July. I know last year we hosted it after the 4th of July, and we got some feedback that people would prefer it earlier in the summer.
And I think too, for those parents out there that have kids in school, it's a little bit of a lull, hopefully, that first week of June. And we timed it so that it's before Father's Day for any dads out there. You can do this detox, and then the next day is Father's Day, and you can, celebrate you and enjoy yourself.
And it's just a great way to boost your immunity, reduce your toxic load, your bloating, increase your energy and your digestion. And we've just had so much great feedback, and we love the community. It's so supportive, and it's a great week, actually.
It is. And, speaking of Father's Day, this could be a good Father's Day gift for someone.
Yes.
And maybe their spouse could even join them on this fun journey kicking off Father's Day. So like Marnie said, it's a great program. And we've had so many returning, detox alumni come back, which is really a testament to how great you feel. Ultimately, you're doing this to improve your health and longevity. Yes, but you're going to feel amazing. So join us. The link is in the show notes. It's also on our website. And of course, message us if you have any questions. And you can start before or after as well. You don't have to start on that day. I know a lot of times people's schedules are busy this time of year. And so if you need to start at a different time, let us know and we'll be there to support you.
So Stephanie, changing gears a little bit, I wanted to ask you, what have you been watching these days on TV?
Yes. Well, Marnie, I took a cue from last time we did this episode, which was maybe almost 2 months ago now. And you were talking about how you had just started watching Daisy Jones and the Six, which was on Apple TV. And I've been wanting to read the book. It had been on my list to read, but I did something I don't normally do. And I'm watching the show before I'm reading the book, and I will read the book at some point, but I've been loving it. I've just been watching it whenever I can. Sometimes it's in the sauna. Sometimes it's, folding laundry, or just sitting like I did the other night and watched 2 or 3 episodes by myself. So it's really, really good.
And is John watching it with you?
He's not, because he hasn't been around when he's
okay.
No, that's another goal of mine. We used to watch shows together all the time, and it just has stopped over the last several years. And yeah,
I feel like that's a good one to watch with your spouse. Have you finished it yet?
No.
Okay.
I have not finished it yet.
Well, the only thing that I don't want to say anything then. Okay.
Yeah, because I'm kind of wondering about a couple of characters. And so I'm like, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
It's so good. And it just reminds, I don't know. I mean, not that I grew up quite in that time period, but it's closer.
Yes.
We are closer to that time period than, certainly a younger generation. So
the only thing I'll say is that I thought about it for days after I finished it.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
So it's thought provoking, or just
for me, it was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Well, I'll let you know. Maybe the next time we do this episode, when you and I are on, we'll have
more to say about it.
More to say about it, but we don't want to spoil it for anyone else. So that's what I've been watching. But Marnie, what have you been watching?
So I've been watching on Apple Plus or Apple TV or whatever it's called. The Last Thing He Told Me with Jennifer Garner. And it is so good. I came upon it randomly, and I've always really liked Jennifer Garner, and it's kind of like a mystery thriller. It's really about, she's married and her husband has a daughter from a previous person, and the husband disappears. And it's about Jennifer and her stepdaughter, searching for him and kind of going on this like journey trying to figure out what happened to him and where he is. And I don't want to spoil any of it, but you're kind of on the edge of your seat through the whole thing. And I've really enjoyed it. And it was very unexpected because, like I said, I hadn't heard a thing about it. And I just was like, oh, what's this?
Okay, well, it's so funny because my good friend Jackie, who always I go to for book recommendations because she reads a ton, she gave me that book recommendation, and I had a bunch of Audible credits, and I was going on a long walk on Mother's Day, and I just decided to download it immediately. And so I've been listening to it. And I mean, I've already listened to like many hours of it just since like Sunday, just since the weekend. It is so good. And I can't wait to actually watch the show because I love Jennifer Gardner. She's like one of those people, like if you could pick like a Hollywood friend that you would just want to like hang out with, she's for sure at the top of my list. And so I can't wait to watch it, but it is really good. It's to the point where every time I get in the car, if I'm in the car for like 5 minutes, I am listening to the book.
And that's the best. I wish I had known it was a book. And I think Reese Witherspoon produced it.
She did. It's on the cover. She's like
amazing.
She's
producing everything. Like she's just doing so much.
So much. She's another one of those Hollywood celebrities that I just want to hang out with. I just want to be friends with, right? Can I just
so Reese and Jennifer, if you want to come on our podcast, we'd love to have you.
That's basically what we're saying here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and what about, have you listened to anything exciting?
Well, I've been listening to The Last Thing He Told Me, which is, by the way, is by Laura
that's
Dave.
What you were listening to.
Laura Dave is the author.
Yeah,
so I've been doing that on Audible.
Yeah.
And I need another book, which I'm going to be taking a trip next week. So I have a couple days left to find an actual hard copy paperback book. So if anyone out there has any recommendations, DM us. Because I know when I travel, I don't like to have a hard copy. I don't like to have a hard back book. I like a paper book.
Right.
It just takes up, it's just a weight issue with me and my packing. That's a whole nother topic for another day. But I guess I have been reading a book, and it's been for quite a while. It's been sitting on my nightstand, and not that it's not a good book. It's not an indication that I don't like it, but I'll hold it up here if you can see it. This was recommended to me from actually a local woman who is an esthetician who I get some facials with, Shayla. And I think it's like someone she knows. And I literally bought it, and I think I picked it up from Shayla. And it's called The Handbook for Being Human, Letting Go of Emotional Patterns and Stepping into Purpose and Power by Cynthia Hickman, who I believe is Australian. Or at least that's where she lives right now. And it's just, I really like it. I mean, it's just like hitting me at a certain point, but it's like love and the foundation, for just developing like awareness and purpose in living. And she shares a lot of different examples from her clients, and just different things that they're dealing with, like patterns that they are experiencing in their current life, maybe by themselves, with their work, with their partners, with their friends, and how like past situations have really impacted that and how they're working through it to move on and, have acceptance and love themselves and being able to like love others and show that love in, a healthy way. So I don't know, it's been really good, but I just pick it up and I'll read it at night sometimes. And I'm getting to the point where I'm almost finished with it. And so I like it. I don't know. It's something to check out, not a beach read necessarily, but, but a good one nonetheless.
Nice.
Yeah. And what about you?
So I just started a book called Hello Beautiful by Anne Napolitano. Oh. It's for my book club, and I'm not sure how I feel about it in all honesty. Like I'm kind of slogging through. Okay. It's not like tough. I'm not slogging. It's a really well-rated book. So I don't know I don't know why it's not that I'm struggling. I'm just not like super engaged in the story. It's about a guy who really didn't have a relationship with his parents growing up. They were kind of independent, I guess, because they had some tragedy. I don't want to spoil it. And he kind of found himself in basketball and then had an injury. And so was out of the sport, and he got married. And then talks a lot about the sisters, his wife and her sisters. And anyway, so I haven't read enough of the book, I guess, to really judge it. But so far, I don't know.
Yeah. And you know what? Sometimes that just happens.
Yeah.
or you just don't get into a book. Or if you don't get into it until halfway through, it's like that first half of the book, you're like dreading it, but then you have book club. So you feel like accountable and you feel like you have to read it. Right.
And I do think it's good for people to read things that you don't always love, right?
Yeah.
So the other thing I'm reading on my nightstand is the book you gave me, actually, Stephanie, and I'm blanking on the name of it, but you went to like her book signing.
Oh, it's Chase
And
You by Elizabeth Kendig.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm finally reading that because I have like all these, I don't know if you want to call them self-help books or like, self-improvement kind of books. And then I have my pleasure books, and then I have my Audible books, whatever. So I have a lot of different books going, but I'm about halfway through that, and it's so interesting.
Isn't it interesting?
Yeah. Like I don't even know how to describe it on this podcast, except that like, it's really trying to tune into what do you call them? Your team,
your team, you could call them spirit
team,
guides, your team
spirit
of people
guides
that are looking out for you,
looking for signs. I'm not, I may be halfway through the book. So I am going to try some of the things that they suggest in the book to see what happens. And if I put a question into the universe, if I get those 3 signs that they talk about in the book.
Yeah.
So.
Yes. Well, that kind of even dives in a little bit for me to what we're going to want to talk about today.
Yeah. And maybe we should dive right in.
Yes, we should. And just, kind of talking about the impact that technology has on our lives and some ways that we can, I don't want to say disconnect, but for a lack of word, maybe take a little bit of a break from technology and be able to tune in. And like you said, like be able to recognize signs from the universe. But in order to do that, and whether it's like, it doesn't have to be like your life's purpose. It could be like, where do I want to go on vacation? Or, it could be very simple things too. It doesn't need to be this profound, what should I take a new job necessarily? But I do think we're so distracted by social media and our phones and technology that we have a hard time looking inward and really recognizing what brings us joy and happiness and what sparks our enthusiasm in life. And that's what we want to kind of dive in and talk about today.
Well, and as I think about this, like technology is so hard because we first of all, we get those like dopamine hits from it, right? Like you feel good and you feel bad when you're looking at it. It's like it's such a weird thing when you think about it. But like I feel like in my role and probably in your role, Stephanie, like I need to be on it for various things. Like I need to be on it. But then I also don't really want to be on it. But like you kind of become irrelevant in some ways if you're not on it. So it's like this weird circle. But like then I'm like, okay, so someone suggested to me that you make hours, certain blocks of time where, okay, you're on your phone from this time to this time and from this time to this time. And I love that idea. But then I'm like, oh, but I need to look at my calendar. And while you're looking at your calendar, even though I have notifications on, maybe I'll see, oh my God, I have 7 texts. I should probably see if it's one of my kids or whatever. And then all of a sudden, like I'm in like this robotic mode and I'm checking Instagram, and it's like I spiral.
Yeah. Very quickly.
So it's really hard for me. Like I have to be very mindful and focused about not grabbing my phone because the habit is to just grab it and look at it.
Yes. And, there are a couple of things like just from a practical standpoint, like you said, like maybe it's time blocking and that sort of thing. And a lot of people say this, just like not to check your phone first thing in the morning. And I think that is just a great way to start the day too. Like have your own time. And it could be 5 minutes of time away from your phone. But I notice if once I start with my phone in the morning, because it's been, I don't know, 8 hours since I've been on it, then that's where the spiral happens. And so it's like taking time to do a gratitude practice or working out or journaling or whatever it is, that in my mind really will help set up the day for success and not to kind of go down that path. Because I think for me, what happens, especially with social media is, people talk this all the time. We talk about it with teenagers and we've discussed it on our show, but there is this comparison that happens inevitably when you are looking on social media. And I think especially for anyone who has their own business or is an entrepreneur or is doing things where you're seeing others that are in your space interacting and doing something that you're not doing. And for me, that's where like the energy just sucks, you know, it's a time suck. And then it just doesn't make you feel good in all honesty. And I think even in the health and wellness space with so many people preaching, like, here's what you should do. Here's what you should eat. Here's how long you should fast. Like that also doesn't have a great, I don't think, impact on your mental health either.
Yeah, it's complicated, right? And it's like you said, time suck. Like for me, that's the biggest thing. Like it's such a time suck. Like I could waste 30 minutes and all of a sudden I could be online shopping. I mean, I can go down a rabbit hole like, oh, I'm looking for, a shoe for this specific event. And all of a sudden I'm going down this rabbit hole of shoes. And before I know it, it's 45 minutes later. And what have I done? I haven't even purchased a shoe. I've just been looking at shoes. Right. And it's like, okay, that's such a waste of my time. But then the crazy thing is the algorithm sees that I'm shopping for all these shoes. And the next time I look at social media, all of my ads are the shoes.
Yeah.
So it's like,
yes. And then you click on them. And I've been caught so many times for that same thing, except mine's dresses.
Well, I just use shoes as an example, dresses. But
it's real. It's real. And then it's interesting because, a lot of, especially Marnie, like you and I are talk to people about, say it's meal prep or meal planning or cooking more. And people are like, I don't have time. And I just spoke with a woman recently and she on herself said it. She's like, I'm busy and I don't have a lot of time, but I know I should be meal prepping. And she's like, yeah, there's that time in the morning after my daughter goes to school, before I work out or I do any of my work. And I'm just on social media scrolling. That's the time I could be meal prepping and planning. Mm-hmm. She said it, not me. We were just having this conversation. So I think it's priority. Like, what is your priority and how do you want to feel? And, Marnie, you and I just interviewed Dr. Cabral, whose episode we're going to talk about. And it's like longevity and having a high quality of life. And if that's your goal, then those short-term habits that you have that are painful to start and sometimes even, hard to navigate through with busy lives, but that's what you need to be focused on. So I think it's like the phone is a distraction and it doesn't help us prioritize what's really important to us in our life.
Well, and even thinking about when you're not on your phone, what could you be doing or what, just being present. Like, my daughter comes home from school and I'm like in the middle of something, but I should put my phone down, look her in the eye and have a great conversation with her. And I think, when we're out with another couple or we're at my parents for dinner or whatever it is, like I'm keeping my phone in my purse and I'm not taking it out and I'm focusing on the present. Or if I'm on a walk with a friend and I feel so much better and so much happier. And like, I love those face-to-face interactions that feel so much more, I don't want to say genuine, but
but you're right.
Yeah. I feel like, we're all kind of getting sucked into this like phone world and it's really important to put that phone away. Like I say to my dad all the time at dinner, because he's constantly, every time his phone buzzes, he takes it out. I'm like, Dad, this is my parent.
Yes.
Like, Dad, we don't do phones at dinner. Put the phone away.
Yes.
He's like, oh, but I need to blah, blah, blah. Some excuse. I'm like, okay.
Hey, I don't know what it is. I mean, it's like we're missing this human connection, and that's all we need as humans. All we want to do is to like feel loved and to have a connection with another human being. And by being on your phone, you're not able to do that. Right. Mm-hmm. And so one thing I've been doing like very religiously for the last month, if not more, and I've always had this as a goal, but I haven't done it every day, is I take a walk or I started running one or 2 days a week with nothing. I am not listening to anything, we love podcasts. Marnie and I just talked about our Audible books, but you need that time away. For me, it's being outside, which finally in Minnesota, the weather is nice out, taking a walk or taking a run with absolutely nothing. And a couple things I've noticed really in particular is one, just my thoughts. And sometimes they're random and sometimes it's going through my to-do list, but other times it's like really tapping into like just the day or what I'm grateful for. I have this obsession now with birds because of it. So like I am
Yes.
listening to birds. I am noticing them. I am taking pictures of pretty birds. I will like text my family and be like, look at this bird. All these different types of birds I never noticed. And like they're talking to each other. And I feel like they're talking to me. And that's where I feel like my team of, I don't know, spirit guides, if you will, like that's how they're communicating to me is through birds. And the other thing I've noticed is I'll see people on my walk and I say good morning to every single person. And I will tell you only maybe 15% of the time does someone respond back or even look at me.
What?
And it makes me really sad. And it doesn't matter the age. I mean, these are sometimes elderly people, like who I think would, sometimes people have headphones in, sometimes they don't. And I'm like, good morning, good morning. And I get crickets most of the time.
Wow.
And that
That's
makes
shocking.
me sad. And it also makes me realize we need more human connection. Like we need more human interaction. So just think about like random acts of kindness that you can do, and maybe it's just starting with saying good morning to someone or complimenting them on something that they're wearing or whatever. I mean, maybe that's superficial, but it's a start, right? And we have to start having more of those one-on-one human interactions.
And I don't really think that's superficial. Like if you like what someone's wearing and you compliment, like
I do it all the time.
If you see something that you don't like and you're saying, oh, that looks amazing, then, that might be not very authentic. But I think it's really nice to let someone know when you like something about them, whether it's something in their personality or something they're wearing or whatever it is, like complimenting others. And like you said, spreading kindness instead of the opposite. And that's really sad that I feel like you should be like, wait, why are you answering me?
I mean, I do. And I did it again this morning.
Hello. You should be like, good morning.
I'm going to jump. The next time I'm going to like literally like jump out in front of them and stop them in their tracks. So they have to say hi to me now. Yeah.
The other day I was walking, and sometimes I use my walking time to like catch up on phone calls. Like I call my mom and I call my sister-in-law and whatever. So I was on the phone with my mom and she was talking to me, and someone like stopped me and was talking to me, like someone I didn't know, but they were walking their dog and whatever. They wanted the dogs to meet. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm on the phone. And I could tell that they were like upset with my response, but I also needed to finish my conversation. So,
right. Yes. But and I do like catching up with people on the phone. That to me is human connection because you're actually having a conversation. Yes. And if it's someone that lives somewhere else, you can't have it in person anyway. Right.
And sometimes the phone can be, I mean, not sometimes, but the phone can also be used in a positive way, right? Like, so I'm thinking about my son. He's traveling abroad right now for 2 months, and all the parents have this chat. None of the parents are local where I live. Well, one of them is, but most of them are not. And we have a chat, and everybody's, sharing photos of the boys on their adventures and like, did you hear from them today? And like, I feel like I'm connecting with some people that I wouldn't normally connect with over, the fact that our kids are all traveling together. And that's kind of fun.
And I think the group text, especially for moms out there, I have a bunch that I'm on, that is connection to me, right? I mean, that is positive. I think it's more when you're like comparing or looking at what other people are doing and constantly think you need to be doing something. Right. Instead of just sitting with yourself and actually taking time to do nothing, which is something I'm really prioritizing right now, which is really hard for me. That's what I think, I think that's the point of this, right?
Yes.
And to be doing more looking inward and figuring out what truly brings you joy.
And looking outward at your surroundings, not necessarily at other people, but, at the trees and the birds and nature and your kids and your dog or your cat or whatever it is, but just like looking around you, like our necks and our heads and our shoulders are all like, I feel like getting cranked looking down, and we should be looking all around us.
Right. And, another thing that I think is really helpful, and we've talked about it, and Marnie you and I are both using this, is journaling. And we were so blessed to receive these journals. So thank you guys. It's the Good Morning Journal. And we had someone reach out to us through the podcast, Powerful Prompts and Reflections to Start Every Day. And it's by Mark and Angel Chernoff. And they're also the New York Times bestselling authors of Getting Back to Happy. And I've been doing this now in the morning for the most part, and you can do it anytime during the day. But we love that it's just these short prompts. It's really simple. So it's like each page has 2 prompts and you do one a day. I mean, you could do more than one a day if you wanted to, but the questions are so insightful and things that I wouldn't have come up with on my own.
Well, and I'd say like I've been doing it during like lunchtime, like when I'm ready to take a little break from my morning and I'm going to go make some lunch, I'll do the prompts. I've been doing 2 a day, but I don't write like super in-depth answers. But what for me, what it's doing is like I'll write a little bit and then I'll be like kind of stewing on it for the rest of the day, which I like. So it is very thought-provoking. And then I sometimes will go back and read what I wrote a few days ago, which I also think is interesting.
Yes. And there's I mean, I've done lots of other journals where there are prompts, but these are all different prompts, which I really like. You know, one of the first prompts was like, what's one true reason you're good enough and ready enough right now? And so I think it's a lot of inner reflection. I don't know. I really enjoy it. And I think this could be good for any age kid, like teenagers, I think would be great for also an adult. So anyway, we highly recommend this book. And it also helps you kind of just with what we're talking about and getting some of that chatter, that outside noise that is beneficial to some degree, but then can become a little bit, I don't want to say harmful, but yeah, I mean, for some people it can be. It can have a negative impact on their life.
Yep.
And this could help ground you again. So
highly recommend that. So, I guess to start to wrap this up, just if you can try and, think about your cell phone use. Is it positively affecting you? Is it negatively affecting you? Are there changes you want to make in your cell phone use? Just maybe even just start to notice it and see how it makes you feel when you use it. And are there times when, you're feeling awesome, like the group chat, or times when you're, on Instagram comparing yourself to others in a negative way? So I think really the first step is being aware and noticing what your own personal use is like.
Right. And how it's impacting you. And I think for parents out there, noticing your kids, and remember that we are modeling behavior for our kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's easy to say, to try to get our kids to reduce their cell phone usage. But if we're not doing that ourselves and we're constantly on our phone all the time, including maybe at meals, then we can't expect them to do anything different. And I will just give a shout out to Tracy Foster's episode. We had her on and it was all about Screen Sanity is her organization. It's a nonprofit. She was on episode 145, all about screen time usage. And her organization has a lot of free resources and educational resources for parents, but they really apply to adults as well. And so just giving a shout out to her episode.
Absolutely.
And I think those t-shirts she sent us, I wear mine all the time to bed. And it says, do more things that make you forget to use your phone.
Check your phone.
To check your phone.
Yeah.
Yes.
I actually cut mine. I made it into a tank top and then made it a little shorter, and it's super cute.
Okay, I
wore it all over Costa Rica.
Oh, that's so cute. They ended up sending my son one. So I'll give a shout out. My son did his senior speech all about his cell phone usage and relationship with his phone. And they sent him a shirt too. So maybe we should take a photo of mother-son t-shirts. But anyway, drop us a note. Let us know what you guys think as far as how your cell phone usage impacts you, your mood, your energy, and what's one thing that you found that you're doing or you want to try to do that you think will positively impact your just overall mood and outlook on life. So,
and if you like this episode, share it with a friend, neighbor, family member, and head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a review.
Yes, we would love a review, and we'll give you a shout out on one of our upcoming episodes. So, all right, everyone.
Have a great day.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.